या इसको यूज करेंगे. Brain has two parts, right and left, connected by corpus callosum, which is in the middle. So if I drive one of these brains, one of the brain if we draw, this is frontal cortex here. This was in frontal cortex. It's a prefrontal cortex, which is the executive of our brain, which makes planning, designing, all the intellectual thing. This part, which is over here, is known as parietal cortex, parietal lobe. And here, on this part, this is known as occipital lobe. Light comes into a retina that transmits whatever we see to the occipital lobe, and this is visual. Occipital lobe is visual. Now, what today we are concerned with in addiction is known as limbic system. Limbic, in I think Greek word, limbic stands for border or edge. So limbic starts somewhere from here up to the brainstem. This part is the limbic system. We don't call it limbic structure, we call it limbic system, because there are a number of organs which speak to each other, we communicate with each other. That's why I say that transmitters are communicating. Now, one important thing is somewhere here. Now, this part behind the ear is known as temporal lobe. Temporal lobe. So, this is the frontal lobe, and the speech center, Broca's area over here, which is the visual center, temporal center to with auditory sound, and there will be an olfactory bulb to do sense. Now, in the limbic system, one important part would be thalamus. Thalamus. Then below it is hypothalamus. Hypo means below the thalamus. Hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Here in the temporal lobe, here will be something known as amygdala. Amygdala. And here is in the temporal lobe, in the limbic system. It's a tube-like structure, it's a seahorse-like thing. It's known as hippocampus. Hippocampus. And somewhere here will be a structure which is known as VTA, ventral tegmental area. An important structure is just in the forebrain is known as nucleus accumbens. And this is the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex. So the whole system is known as limbic system. It's between the forebrain and the brainstem. Here we'll have this is the cerebrum, then there will be pons, cerebellum, here will be pons, medulla, which is carried to spinal cord. When a child is born, this frontal lobe is not formed in the child. First to develop is the parts below. That's why baby, when he or she feels thirsty, he cries, asks for water, hungry, asks for breast milk. So all those things they can do, but gradually when they become, then different things they'll start learning like a scientist. And slowly this frontal lobe, which is the chief executive part of our brain, finally this develops. Now, in addiction, we are concerned with the middle part. In limbic system, this VTA, ventral tegmental area, this picks up motivation. This is responsible for motivating things, motivation and reward. This amygdala is a very important thing. So for example, if you are about to be bitten by a spider, this gets alert, this gives information to hippocampus. Hippocampus is concerned with memory, consolidation of memories. So in the memory hippocampus, this sends a message, here's a fear, or we say vehicular accident, how to prevent that thing. They send message, memory reminds this thing, and ventral tegmental area, it motivates to do something. And the thalamus is very important. All the sensations that are picked up, for example, if it is a auditory sensation from sound, or from eye, or from touch, and all the senses are picked up by thalamus, and it disposes. It's sort of a relay station. For example, if something to do with sound, it will relay to the auditory part to act accordingly. If it is to do with eye, it will relate to the occipital lobe. So thalamus is a relay station. Now we'll finish amygdala first. Amygdala is just a small thing. It's almond-shaped structure, which is in the temporal lobe. Here we can say that in brain, you see, size of the thing doesn't matter. It's the function of the thing which matters. So amygdala is very important. So for example, a student or an MG trainee is asked to give a talk. He feels nervous because he's new. And this amygdala let him feel that fright, that fear in him. So amygdala is concerned with fear, as well as amygdala is concerned with motivation. Amygdala is concerned with behavior. Amygdala is concerned with pleasure, reward system. So amygdala, although very small, but it plays its own part. This is the memory center, And this VTA is a structure, ventral tegmental is a group of neuron structure which releases that neurotransmitter was known as dopamine. So dopamine is released by this thing. Also, it goes to here, it goes to the memory thing, it goes to amygdala, and it, you see, hypothalamus transmits this thing now. Function of hypothalamus is was known as homeostasis, so keep a balance. It involves the sensory system and the endocrine system. So, for example, fight and flight response, you see when there's a fear, so hypothalamus pick it up. Hypothalamus through pituitary gland alerts all the hormones, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal, all those things to produce cortisol and other things. So, anyway, these are goals in our addiction. So, addiction is concerned with motivation, is concerned with attraction, is concerned with fear, is concerned with pleasure, is concerned with memory. So all these things, they develop, they communicate message from each. And finally, of course, all these things communicate with the frontal lobe. To act action is the executive. So what happens in addiction is that this amygdala, this system hijacks the function of prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is being the executive, is responsible for making design, planning. It says it is safe, unsafe, good, not good. All those decisions are taken by prefrontal cortex. But in addiction, whether it is to drug or whether it is to other behaviors, even smartphone or processed food, this amygdala, because of the dopamine which is released, which activates nucleus accumbens, all these are involved in producing a lot of dopamine, which is also known as the reward center or pleasure center. So, whole of this thing takes over the function of this prefrontal cortex. So it's not able to say it's good or safe. So this is the system in the brain, which is known as limbic system. Now, how does it work? Peaches do, you know. It's good, right?